Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Pigskin Preview, along with David Johnson, Danny Daniels, and we got some stuff to talk about this week that could potentially be very positive. And we're talking about some teams that really got a chance to pick up a win. And with that, Monroe and Social Circle. Let's start with Monroe. They're going to be up at North Hall. North Hall has not won a ball game. Monroe is, I think, better. They hadn't won a ball game, but Monroe a lot better than an Ophir for this season. So Canes might get one.
Yeah, well, somebody's going to get one, unless they have a tie, which is they don't do that anymore. So yeah, somebody's going to win, and I have to think it's Monroe. I saw them last week against Buford. Of course, they got pummeled, which is no surprise.
Yeah.
Everybody gets pummeled by Buford these days. But you know, I saw a team that really never gave up, and I know that sounds trite and cliche, but they really were battling till the end, and they do have some talent. I mean, they've got, you know, Keon and CJ and Jacob's a good, solid quarterback. They've got the talent. They just haven't put it all together. But they seemed to really, towards the end of that game last week, they were still playing hard, and I just think talent's going to trump a lot of things. Frankly, I'll be surprised if they don't win out their last 3 games starting this week with North Hall.
I really like Olson at quarterback. I questioned the offense a little bit start of the season, but Olson got a really good arm for a high school kid.
Yeah, and he's not asked to do the stuff that Stanton had to do. You know, Stanton ran and threw. Stanton was such a huge part of that offense. You know, a lot of times they say, you know, the quarterback, you just want him to manage the game. And really that's what they're asking him to do. They're not asking him to go out there and win it with his legs, or, you know, and he's obviously, you know, he's an all-state caliber baseball player, so he's got a solid arm. And, you know, he probably needs to work on his accuracy a little bit, but he can throw the ball. So, yeah, he's a good, solid quarterback.
And Alfred King, probably a better than average high school receiver. And Keon can catch the ball. So he's got some targets, and that helps.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, they've got the talent. No question about it. They, you know, not the caliber of the last year or the year before, but they've still got a lot of speed, a lot of athletic ability. So, you know, I think you're going to see that. I think they're finally going to come together and finish out the year. Certainly not, you know, with a playoff spot like they have the past 4 years, but I think they'll finish with 3 wins and build a lot of momentum heading into next year.
All right, so Monroe wins this week.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
Right.
All right, Social Circles at Oglethorpe County. Is this the week?
This is it. You heard this here first as well. This is the week that the streak finally ends. For the first time in 4 years, Social Circle is going to win a football game Friday night. So all you Redskins fans, you need to cancel all your other plans. Make the 50-mile drive over to Lexington and be there in force, because you'll see, yeah, I hate to say history made, but recent history anyway. It's the first time in 38 games that you'll get to see your Redskins walk off the field a winner.
And that's good too. Chad Estes, we talked about it all season long, the right man, I think, for that job. And they've been improving as the season goes along. And that's something I don't think you can say about Social Circle teams the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, as Coach Estes likes to say, you know, the culture's changing there. That's his kind of mantra this year, and you can really see that just in the way they carry themselves, the body language, and certainly the way they play on the field. They play defense a lot better. Offensively, they're actually scoring some points, which is something you certainly didn't see the past few years. And you know, they hung 34 up a few weeks ago, I guess, and against this team they'll face this week, Oglethorpe hasn't stopped anybody. So I think they're going to put up a few points this week and play enough defense. And so, yeah, I think finally, this program is going to get a much-needed win and hopefully begin to turn the corner.
And let's don't turn the ball over. If they can hold down the turnovers, Social Circle wins this week.
There you go.
All right, Loganville's going to be on the road to Flowery Branch. In years past, last 2 or 3, this was a mismatch. But the Devils got a really good chance to win this week.
Yeah, speaking of breaking losing streaks, the Loganville's never beat Flowery Branch. They played them the past 4 years, and Flowery Branch has always had a dominant team, been one of the top programs in the region, always been in contention for the region, always going to the state playoffs. This year, they're rebuilding, which was kind of a shock. I think heading into the season, a lot of folks figured they'd just be back up there again. But they're struggling. And this could be a time for Loganville to step up and finally pick up a win against them. It's going to be a tight game. I mean, I don't think Loganville's going to walk over anybody. But yeah, I think this could be a chance. They still have a shot at the playoffs. It's just going to be really hard. They're going to have to win out. They're going to have to get some help. So, they're still in it. Flowery Branch probably isn't. So I think Lobeville has a little more riding on this game, and hopefully that'll carry him over to a win.
Well, that Salem loss really hurt, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it did. Yeah, picking up that third win in this region, that was tough. And the fact that they were so close at the end and probably could have won it, that was definitely a heartbreaker.
All right, George Walton's going to be on the road at Hebron. I saw the Bulldogs play last week, and they are really having trouble, in my opinion, on the offensive line. They got whipped at the line of scrimmage, and you can't do that and expect to win.
No, and they're just, this is a transition year. They're without Stanley Williams that they really hung their hat on the past couple of years. Demetrius Mason, who was going to step in and sort of try to fill his shoes, has been battling injuries all year. So with that, and like you said, a line that's just not what it used to be. They just don't overwhelm people with their size like they had in their big years in recent history. So, yeah, they've struggled. And then, of course, they're transitioning to the wing tee out of the veer and trying to learn that. So it's just a lot of things coming together that they're really having to learn and relearn. And so, I mean, you knew it was going to be a tough year for George Walton. After that loss last week, they're probably going to miss the playoffs again. I mean, they could win out, some funny things could happen, and they could slip in as a pretty low seed. But chances are, looks like they may be missing the playoffs.
That was a good ball game for a half, and then Athens Christian School pulled away in the second half. And that's what, when you have young teams, that's going to happen. It's a steamroll effect, and that occurred in the last 3 or 4 quarters.
Yeah, and Athens Christian is much improved. I mean, they're not a walkover like they used to be. I mean, they used to be one of the doormats of that region, and now they've really turned things around with a new coach and a new attitude. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not like there was any shame in losing to that team. They're much improved this year.
All right, Walnut Grove's going to be at home against Eagles Landing. This should be a good one.
Yeah, this, in my opinion, is probably the biggest home game in this short program's history. They're right in the running for the playoffs, which in the past few years, I mean, if they were in the running for winning a couple of games, that was big for them. They've never won more than 2 games a year in any year. So now they're sitting here at 5, and they got a legitimate shot there right now in 3rd place, which gets them in a position to play for the state playoffs. So they really, if they can win this week, you got to feel pretty good about their chances of that 10. Again, in this region, the way they played is that 10th game is kind of a region playoff. The top 6 teams play for the top 4 spots. So if they get to that 10th game and they're one of the top 3 in their region, they'll be playing for a playoff spot. Again, a lot of firsts this year. This would be their first state playoff appearance.
Monroe area was in a region that was subdivided 4, 5, 6 years ago, and that 10th game, how do you qualify to play at a 10th game?
Well, the way it works is you have 2 regions, and the top 3 finishers on each side will get matched up in that 10th game. The 2 1s will play each other, and the winner of that is declared region champ. And then the 2s and 3s cross over, and that determines the 3rd and 4th seeds. So that's how they'll play that 10th game. They just, the 10th game is not scheduled like most people. It's just open, and then they'll match them up based on how everybody finishes in their sub-regions after 9 games.
Everybody else in the region also plays that 10th game, but it won't count.
Right.
As far as state tournaments concerned.
Right. This is just another way of now, 20 years ago they did it. The teams used to have region playoffs. You have a region playoff at the end of the regular season, and they did away with that to where you just automatically qualified for state at the end of the regular season. But this is just kind of a way of having a region playoff, without actually having an extra game at the end. So that's kind of why a lot of regions vote to do this.
All right, so good luck to the Warriors fans. Get out there to Warrior Field on Friday night. They're going to need you. And fan support, of course, always important. So wear those green jerseys or parkas or whatever the weather's going to call for, and support Coach Ben Reeves' teams. LCA is going to be at home against Trinity. I don't know if LCA has clinched a playoff spot, but but they're probably going to be in playoffs too.
Yeah, I mean, looking right now, they pretty much, if the GISA is like I think it used to be in the top 4 teams in each region get in, then they're in. I mean, you can look at their schedule and see they're pretty much clinched. Right now, they're just kind of playing to move up and improve their seeding. So it looks like, yeah, looks like the Lions in their first year in GISA are going to do themselves proud and make the playoffs. So that's kind of good and great for that program.
Andre King does a great job over there. He's a good man to lead that program, and they got a lot of good people over there. So Lions fans can go out and watch their team take one more step toward the playoffs. That's going to about do it, but some big games coming up this week, and hopefully we're going to have some packed stands.
Yep, get out and see a lot of playoff implications on the line.
All right, we'll see you next time.